Good afternoon. My name is Chiamaka and my major area of study is biochemistry. I'm sure many of you at least have some basic knowledge on chemistry and or biology, but you might not know exactly how these two sciences complement each other. This practical approach applies the molecular aspects of chemistry to the variety of biochemical systems. I will begin by discussing various ways in which neurology and biochemistry work together to help in discovering many parts of the brain and the processes that are responsible for the many aspects of our behavior. One of them being learning and memory, and the other one being emotions and mood. You may not be consciously aware of it, but there is a complex interplay between cognition and the brain's biochemical structure. The neurotransmitter dopamine plays a key role in the many of the brain's functions. Any disruption to the dopamine system can impair short-term memory. Impaired memory is a contributing factor to disorders such as ADHD. But that doesn't have to be their fate. Working memory can be improved with weeks of intensive cognition training. To confirm this theory, researchers have monitored the brain using PET scans. The result of this innovative method of brain monitoring have proved that intensive brain training leads to a change in the number of dopamine receptors in the cortex. Another aspect of our behavior that biochemistry helps us understand is emotions and mood. How many times have you seen someone turn red as a tomato from embarrassment? It is easy for us to observe some of the more noticeable physiological occurrences associated with emotion. What about the mind and body sciences behind this phenomenon? Think about the biochemical reactions that our body undergoes when we are at a constant level of high stress, or when we fear something looming in the near future, compared to those when we are relaxed and in a good mood. Clearly, our bodies will have inverse biochemical reactions to these different occurrences. Oxytocin is a chemical messenger that is closely associated with states of relaxation, healing, because its presence in our bodies increases in response to pleasant touch, massages, and relaxation. On the opposite side of the spectrum, we have fight or flight chemicals like cortisol, which catalyze reactions that are associated with states of distress and anger. We have heard about how stress is bad, but very few of us have a clear idea of why that is. Actual and perceived threats ranging from wild animals and homework activate specific areas of the brain. These areas release a neurotransmitter which prompts the adrenaline glands to release hormones that act on the organs such as the heart, lungs, and muscles. So if you ever come face to face with the lion, your quickened heartbeat should hopefully initiate your fight and not your flight response. Unfortunately, if this were to happen to you, you may be scarred for life. The release of neurotransmitters can either be directly triggered by the mere sight or memory of something frightening, or subliminally activated by an abstract thought. The application of biochemistry to neuroscience is mainly used to study the biochemical mechanisms of the body in relation to diseases and disorders. This is done through various surgical and research findings in this field may only show correlation patterns and no causation, but it nevertheless serves. This brings me to another major area of who we are as humans, and that is personality. Studies have shown that personality possesses biochemical correlates that can be studied through the use of spectroscopy. In one of such studies, it was hypothesized that brain chemistry within specific regions of the brain could predict differences amongst personality types. In conducting this experiment, biochemical models are fit for all personality domains, including extroversion, openness, agreeableness, and conscientiousness. Increased and decreased brain volumes were associated with these personality variables. To investigate these biochemical correlates, an imaging technique was utilized. The data gathered measured the concentration of 3 metabolites. The findings collected show that the metabolites were closely related to one or more of the personality domains. In past studies, sleep disorders have also been linked to faulty brain chemistry. There have been reported links between deficits in brain chemistry and obstructive sleep apnea and REM sleep behavior disorder. These findings were a result of the data gathered using 2 types of neurochemical brain scans and detailed sleep studies. The researchers found that their patients had a far lower density of neurons that produce the key chemical dopamine, as mentioned earlier in this presentation. This led researchers to believe that there are a correlation between sleep problems and the presence of this chemical. The greater the lack of such chemicals, the worse their sleep problems were. More recently, studies have shown that sleep apnea's effect on the brain may be more severe than previously thought. Sleep apnea is a sleep disorder characterized by abnormal pauses in breathing that has been linked to learning impairment and even death. Without the application of biochemistry to sleep patterns, we would not be aware of the risks associated with sleep apnea. How many times have you heard someone being called bipolar who actually isn't clinically diagnosed with a bipolar disorder? I don't know about you, but that's something I seem to hear a lot. The word bipolar is thrown around so much, many people have forgotten that it is a serious disease that affects as many as 2.6% of the U.S. population. There is evidence of brain chemistry abnormalities in bipolar disorder. Studies have shown that people with bipolar disorder have an average of 30% more signal-sending brain cells. These signals that are sent between neurons are involved in mood regulation and functions like concentration and attention, so they play a major role in bipolar disorder. Although all the questions have not yet been answered concerning the biochemical correlates of bipolar disorder, these initial findings will lead to further studies. Specifically speaking, more research is needed to examine which kinds of cells are involved. Future research in this area will be geared more towards the goal of developing drug combinations that target a specific patient's brain chemistry. It is virtually impossible to overlook the biochemistry of the brain, especially when studying the processes that are responsible for aspects of our behavior. The application of biochemistry to neuroscience is not only a learning tool, but also an innovative tool that is used for the purpose of disease prevention and detection. Think about the many ways biochemistry creeps into our lives.